Hey, I'm Pastor Bill from Open Door Baptist Church in Morehead City, and thanks for coming back for another word of encouragement. The weekday video series that Open Door Baptist Church has been putting out to help us all to put our minds and our hearts focus back on God's Word, the source of hope and encouragement and strength for our day, especially during these times of coronavirus and civil unrest and protests in the streets. Well, today we are going to look at a very interesting passage coming out of 1 Samuel, the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 3. And 1 Samuel chapter 3 begins with a very daunting, a very discouraging verse. Chapter 3, verse 1 says, "Now the boy Samuel was ministering to the Lord in the presence of Eli, and the word of the Lord was rare in those days, and there was no frequent vision." Now that really sets the stage for the time and the context historically of Israel during that time. But jumping down to verse 8, we find, "And the Lord called Samuel again for the third time. And he arose and went to Eli and said, 'Here I am, for you called me.' Then Eli, perceiving that the Lord was calling the boy, therefore Eli said to Samuel, 'Go, lie down, and if he calls you again, you shall say, Speak, Lord, for your servant hears.' So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And the Lord came and stood, calling as at other times, 'Samuel, Samuel.' And Samuel said, 'Speak, for your servant hears.' Then the Lord said to Samuel, 'Behold, I am about to do a thing in Israel at which the two ears of everyone who hears it will tingle.'" Well, even though these were very, very difficult times in the day of Israel, where there was an evil, really, priest sitting on the seat there in the temple, and the word of the Lord was rare, still, the highlight of encouragement that I want to point out here is that still God had not abandoned his people, and he comes again and speaks the word of the Lord, albeit rare, it was valuable. Listen, you and I, we are not left in a day and age where the word of the Lord is rare. We have, by God's grace, the word of the Lord in our hand, in a book that we can pick up at any time. Will you today make it a point and make a commitment to pick up the word of the Lord, and just before reading, just for a moment, breathe a prayer and say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant hears." That is such an immense privilege. It should be an encouragement to you every day to get up, to wake up, to get out of bed, and to take up the word of the Lord and say, "Speak, Lord, your servant hears," and then put it into practice. Trust him, depend on him today. Well, I expect that this is a word of encouragement to you today, and I expect that you will tune in tomorrow for another.